Okay. So, hello everyone. This is my third take, so I might be a little slower and more considered, and hopefully I can get it all done this time. I'm doing this while driving because I gotta get it out. I'm in a state of frustration about it, and it feels like and I need to get this out today because I think, people need to, I just do. It's August 21st, 2025. Today is the day, is the third Thursday of the month, okay? Third Thursday of the month. And it is the day when disabled people are supposed to get their second ever disabled people that were eligible, applied, and were approved. qualify, for this measly $200 a month benefit that is supposed to lift us out of poverty, and for me will lift me nowhere near the poverty line, just to be super clear. Nowhere near it. Nowhere near it. Not in a province like British Columbia, not in a city like Vancouver, but anyway. It didn't come. So I borrow the car, which I do as infrequently as I can. I try to walk and carry groceries and do everything that I can, and only borrow the car when I need to get heavy stuff or go somewhere a little further away that has a way better price. Like I could save $5 on these sweeteners if I drive to Superstore, and I'm able to borrow the gas money too, which is a benefit, though I do try to contribute some when I can, though. Jesus Christ, it's just a nightmare. It's just never, and I think you guys all understand that. Anyone out there that's not disabled, you all know that things aren't going as far as they need to. You all know that you're suffering and struggling, and that there's something truly broken about the way things are functioning right now in this country. Inflation is insane. Food costs are out of control. So I've spent the past better part of 5 years waiting for this benefit, which was an election promise, right? Okay. Sorry, I had to pause the video for a second. I'm loving this new feature from the update, by the way, iOS 18 update. Thanks, Apple. It's a good feature, being able to pause and start again. Really is going to make video creation just a whole other level of let's just say ease of workflow. I hate editing videos. I believe that I am not designed for a visual medium. I mean, in terms of the detail orientation, I'm a more macroly orientated individual, complex systems as opposed to minutia. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. The disability benefit didn't come for me today. Now, I don't know if it's just me. I don't know anything else. I can't afford data. I actually don't even pay for my phone, and thank goodness I got this great deal. I had Shaw Internet, and when Shaw was kind of trying to launch their mobile service, they had this deal where if you have Shaw Internet, you could get free just talk and text phone with your internet plan. And when Rogers bought them out, part of the competition mitigation of the deal, I think, or maybe, I don't know, something about the deal. I don't know if it was the competition mitigation aspect, but that feels right. Something was worked out that any Shaw customer gets 5 years at their current rate when Rogers takes over their cellular plan. Now, I did not like Rogers. Had I had to pay them, I would have absolutely left. I'd been with them before years and years ago, and they were very rude. I've never experienced customer service disrespect and callous disregard like that. And I live in Canada, and I've been with almost every telecoms company, which Canadians will know means they're all a little bit of callous disregard, frankly. And there's a lot of collusion / false competition that basically just keeps the prices high and then jacks them higher. We have very little in the way of competition there. But anyway, so I don't have data. So I'm out and about, and I'm like trying to figure out what's going on because my card gets declined. I'm going to buy the thing I need because I am out of everything. I have lost 5 pounds in 10 days because I have been restricting my diet again, waiting for this check to come so that I could buy some more staples. Bread, my bread costs $8.50. Yes, it does. I have a gluten intolerance, and I eat a bread made of potatoes that's locally baked by a small bakery, and it's the best gluten-free bread ever. It tastes just like real bread. It's like potato and flax and a few other things, but it is delicious, but it's insanely expensive. So I only allow myself to have 1 loaf of bread in a month, and I ran out about 10 days ago. So I've been, and anyway, whatever. It's tough. Everybody knows it's tough now. Lots of people are struggling to get by. The taxpayer burden in this country is insane, and I am so grateful to all of you taxpayers, and I'm grateful that I don't know what to call it. Well, I'd call it the social contract, but it doesn't exist anymore for disabled people, right? We had this social contract where we take care of people that can't take care of themselves. We make sure they can get by. We're not making anybody wealthy. We don't want anyone, we don't need to be paying for people to be lazy or lay around. And if you're able, yes, you should be working or trying to work if you can't, or volunteering or doing something to kind of make the, oh wait, that's the way I wanted to go. Sorry, I got lost. Oh shit, I got lost again. God damn it. Okay. Luckily, I am now going to be orientated. I have this weird thing where my ability to not get lost is 100% dependent on my visual memory. I remember every place I've ever been, ever seen. When I go to a new city, I don't ever get lost because basically if I walk one way to get there, I can find my way back because I'll be like, oh yeah, that's the right way, that's the right way. It's just this weird kind of innate thing where I always know where I'm going, but I've never actually turned up that way before. And so I got a little confused about where I was. Anyway, long story short, sorry for the rambling. I'm just so frustrated. We got 1 month where the payment came, and you know what? I am not a fan of the Liberals. The MAiD expansion, particularly this next one coming up that they're trying to force through against all expert opinion, advice, and all best practices and all basic understanding of we don't commit coercive eugenics. We don't do eugenics. We do not do state-sponsored eugenics. That is the core, hard truth of our social contract that has been broken. We don't do that. We take care of the disabled. We don't do that. We take care of you. Now, I try to monetize. I do everything I can. I worked with, and I've called all the work agencies. I've done everything I can, but I'm autistic and bipolar, and I have myalgic encephalomyelitis, chronic fatigue syndrome. You may have heard of it as, or now long COVID, and it's hard. I do my best, and actually, I do pretty freaking goddamn good. I manage life. I access joy. I personally raised and trained a psychiatric service dog that has now been certified twice, the second time in spite of an intensive, serious trauma. I pulled him through it, and I did all of that, all while sick with all this stuff. And I keep pushing forward. I'm advocating. I'm trying to get out there. I am active in political discussions, and I am not interested in trying to say the taxpayer needs to cover everything for us, and everyone who thinks they're disabled and says so, regardless of medical evidence, should just immediately get, no, I'm sorry, we can't do that. 20% of the population are dark personalities, man. We have got to mitigate for them. I'm sorry, barriers are necessary. We also are experiencing some cultural differences and certain differences that have led to a lot of scamming and lying and fraud. Like huge amounts of documented, reported, verified fraud. And you can't just be like, okay, anyone who says they're you can't self-ID into disability. I'm sorry, you just can't do it. You can self-diagnose with certain conditions. I absolutely believe that. But then it's your job to go and advocate to get what you need. You have to do the work. You have to take the agency, and you have to fight the systems and do whatever you can to get into it. Now, I'm going to get into some strategies for how to do that. I get that not everybody has the constitutional fortitude, the intellectual baseline, what would I call it? I have something in me that just rises up whenever I feel something's unjust. Ever since I was a kid. My mom has this story she likes to tell where my dad, he left the toilet seat up, I guess. I was 3 years old, and I got up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, and I fell in the toilet. So instead of just like crying and sitting there, or yelling for them, or wiping myself off and going back to bed, apparently I walked into their bedroom, stood on their bed over top, put my face right in my dad's face and said, "Jenny, you left the seat up and my bum's all wet." And I just like got really mad at him. Like, how could you do that? And I think that's a pretty fair indication, just generally. There have been multiple incidents over the years, but I never go all in on anything. I need evidence, I need proof, I need logic to guide the conclusion. And if I encounter real world data, evidence, and even just long-term experience of patterns that I see with my pattern seeking brain, I can't go on with the lie, right? And that's kind of the distinctive feature of the autist, right? We say the thing you're not supposed to say, oftentimes. And again, that's another story for another day. But I will be sharing strategies, and one of the things I'm going to be really getting into now is that AI is going to make up the difference between me and someone who is either sicker or less educated. And I don't think education is like a gold standard. Definitely not college or university inherently. It's what you do with it, right? I happen to get a very good, very broad, very deep education in the Western canonical tradition, all of it. As far back as you can go, ancient Greece, all the way through and up. So I have a pretty broad kind of baseline understanding of things, in particular the history of disability, because that's in there too, right? And how it's treated and how it's considered, how it's looked at. And it's look, here's the deal. Being disabled is hard. Being an overburdened taxpayer in Canada is also hard. I get it. We can't have able people soaking benefits. And that includes refugees. We got to find a way to get them taught English. Like, maybe their refugee benefits should be contingent on passing TESOL exams at certain levels within 6 months. And if they don't do that, or something, I don't know how to set it, but we have got to start putting some assimilation restrictions in place here. And I think a language requirement is a good first step. Forcing a language assimilation in order to receive taxpayer benefits seems like a really good first step, but I'm not a policy analyst or a policy writer. I just feel like disabled Canadians, the barriers we have to go through to get support they're massive, okay? They've been getting easier, maybe too easy in some places. My doctor's told me some stories about, people thinking they're eligible and maybe even trying to get, I don't know. Anyway, I've heard lots of stories of people. There seems to be a lot of people that are, taking benefits that maybe aren't actually too sick to work. But I don't know for sure, because all of the data is so opaque. They're not releasing this information. You can't get access through information requests. They don't tell you anything. And they get to hide behind, medical privacy. Well, I'm sorry, but I think we have a right to know what's going on with these benefit systems. We need to know. We need to know if it actually is hard to get on them, because it was hard, but it wasn't. I've had a harder time getting other things from other people than I did. Like, I had to apply, and they made me apply for CPP first, and then I didn't qualify, so they made me apply so then I did the application for them back in 2007, and then I had to do this other thing, right? But end of the day, like, if you have high functioning anxiety and depression, you're not disabled. You're just a human in a really fucking hard time. Okay? It is a hard time to be a human. It is stressful. It is fast-paced. we've had this idea that suffering, pain, depression, all of these things are like, humans suffer, they feel sad, they grieve losses. Depression to a point where it is actually a severe mental illness and, eligible for a permanent disability status it's not circumstantial, okay? It has nothing to, it's likely, based on the most recent research, a microbiome issue. Although I don't know. I know schizophrenia and bipolar are being highly correlated to the microbiome right now. There's a lot of new research, and that seems and that research is actually having better outcomes from what I'm seeing. But regardless, anyway, the point is, the government waited 5 years after promising this benefit in order to get elected. It's been a year since it came into force. We got one $200 payment, and now today I expected it to be there. It was supposed to be there, and it's not. And my card got declined in a grocery store, and I can't afford the things I need to get through till next Wednesday, which is when the provincial check comes in. And the province somehow has managed to, this year, have, I think, at least 4 or 5 week months. And what that means is the length of time between checks, instead of being every 4 weeks, is every 5 weeks. And actually this year, there were 2 months in a row that were 5 week months, which we're out by like week 2 almost always. The money's gone. It is gone. And so it's a 5 week month. I've been skimping and barely eating the past. You know what that $200 did for me? It made it so instead of eating one meal and a snack every day, as I have been for the past 3 years, since inflation got out of control and everything got more and more expensive, I eat 2. This month, I got to eat 2 meals a day. That is all. And I was already out about, what was it, 8 days ago? No, August 5th, I think it was my last, hang on, let's see. Oh, no, here we go. August 8th was the last time I really spent money on here, and there was $6 left. So 2 days ago I spent let's see, $4 at Walmart and $1.40 at Save On in order to get a $1.49 day thing of corn tortillas to make homemade tortilla chips. And what did I get at the Walmart? I think it was either sour cream or something like, maybe yogurt for the dog, I think. Anyway, and yes, I have a dog, but he is my psychiatric service dog. I need him in order to go shopping. I am disabled, whether I look it to you or not. There are a lot of things about me that you would immediately understand as a disability, or you just think I'm an asshole and blame me for not being an uber nice, kind, projecting falseness and inauthentic realities and reifying things for your comfort. Neurotypical. Sorry, I actually love neurotypicals. I love all humans, but they do have a tendency to live in this kind of, it's better to get along than tell the truth. And I and other autists live in the world of, it's always better to tell the truth. And so it's there's, and thus the friction and the cross neurotype communication barrier. But anyway, I was actually impressed. I do not appreciate Carney. I do not appreciate the Liberal government. They're expanding MAiD instead of helping us. These breadcrumbs, I'll stay alive, but because I have a family that can help me. They're not wealthy, but they can help me. A lot of other people don't have that. And so this $200 will keep me alive for now. But unless I can find a way to truly monetize and really branch out, which I'm hoping to do starting September, really, really kind of put my all into one last effort to monetize my life. I have been trying since I was 30 and facing setback after setback after setback after setback related to my health, but pushing forward anyway. Grit, resilience. But the simple fact is the solution to it can't be making the taxpayer pay more. We've got to start opening up our energy so we have an income for the country that isn't just coming from the tax base. We need to have a way to pay for the social safety net in the way like the Nordics do, right? Where the social safety net comes from their drilling and their energy production, and then they can afford for a really great medical system and great disability supports and cares, right? And we just don't have that here. My disability is psychiatric. I've never had a psychiatrist that was my psychiatrist, ever. I have had temporary psychiatric consulting from the time I was 23 years old and diagnosed until now when I am 41. I have had no continuity of care. Name me one other medical, serious, severe illness that requires medical intervention, prescriptive intervention, and is prone to constant, chronic, and episodic disruption that does not have continuity of medical care. Name me one. We are being failed. And in a couple of years, they're going to get ready to kill us. And the Carney government, when they rolled this out, I felt good about it. I called a woman, I talked to her, I got all the information. She said, yep, your payment's coming tomorrow. I called her the day before just to make sure everything was good. She seemed competent, interested, curious, very ready to help. Everything went the way it should. And I was like, okay, so they were doing one thing right. It's out. It's a breadcrumb, but it's something for now. And my firm belief is that the way to fix disability supports in the interim, until we can actually get some kind of mass trade-based or energy production-based income coming into the federal coffers in order to properly fund the Canada Disability Benefit, we need to get creative. Oh, these corporate grocery stores making so many profits. Why didn't you try and make them give us gift cards to supplement our food as part of the Canada Disability Benefit? Make a deal with them. You can have your tax subsidy if you fund X number of dollars per month per qualified disabled person to buy groceries at your store. I wouldn't even care if they put limits on it, like you can't buy junk food or soda or whatever. I can buy that with the other money that I get from the provincial income if I wanted. And yes, I do drink soda. I'm also 135 pounds and 5'7", and healthier than I've been in many years. So don't come at me, all right? I get my blood checked. Like, I am checked out. I am good. I am actually a more reduced burden on the healthcare system now than I have been in the past years because of some diagnostic progress and treatment that we've been doing. But anyway, I will always be severely disabled. I will never likely be able to come off benefits. They kind of lock you in. So, like, for example, I get that $200 benefit until my total income for a year, including the provincial benefit, which puts me at about $18,000. Yes, a year. Is $23,000. The provincial government lets me earn $15,000 a year on top of the $18,000 a year. So you can see the math already isn't mathing. If I were to, let's say, make the $15,000 a year, I would probably lose the entire $2,400 a year, which means the additional, let's say, $8,000 between, no, wait, let's see, so 18 to 23 is 5, which means I can only earn $5,000 provincially, like income, before they start reducing my federal payment. And if I get to a point, let's say I earn the full 15,000, and I lose the whole 2,400. Anyway, you can see what I'm talking about, right? The math isn't mathing, and they punish you, right? I don't know if they're going to be doing this anymore. I hope they're going to freaking stop. But this is a funny story. So the provincial government was trying to get disabled people to work, right? And I really was happy about that. They created this program. It was a grant program. So yes, taxpayer funded again. But it was a well-designed program. The rollout was just an absolute freaking disaster. So basically they paid companies or organizations to hire disabled people with PWD status. So it was an exclusive, I guess you could call it discriminatory hiring thing, but it was a grant. So grants are frequently discriminatory. And it was a workplace opportunities experience grant or something. And you got 3 months of work, 12 weeks of work, $3,600. I ended up doing a marketing consultant plan for an organization. It was not a great success for work. There was a lot of, there wasn't enough buy-in, right? Like at the end of the day, if you want to hit some certain ROIs with your social media and strategic digital marketing, particularly investments in either money in terms of donations or time in terms of volunteers, you really have to have a very, very, very organic, very invested social media rollout, right? And this place was very, very collaboration. Everything's collaborative. Everyone has to sit around a big table and talk about everything before it can go through. So I was like, okay, well, I'll build you a collaborative design, right? But I couldn't even, I built the whole plan. And my direct supervisor was like, the woman who decides things isn't going to be able to read all of that. It's too long. They won't read it. They won't understand it. You have to make it smaller and less. And I was like, okay. So I did that. And even then, they implemented none of it. And their ROIs are still empty, right? They did not make their returns on investment. Now, the thing that really hit me when I was there is my skill set is expensive. Strategic digital marketing, building a high-level strategic plan for organic, sustainable growth with minimal resources is a very niche kind of skill set, and not everybody can do it, okay? It's like strategic high-level editing of manuscripts, right? I call it the triple S edit: substantive, stylistic, structural. Also, a more niche, it's a strategic high-level approach, right? Not everybody can do it. AI cannot do it, okay? I want to be clear about that. AI will probably take all of the jobs beneath that, but those are high-level jobs, and the general pay for these is about $60 an hour. They decided that they would give me $16 an hour, which I was fine with, whatever. Yeah, sure. Everybody that got the job and was doing that program got a $16 an hour pay. But then, and I had a master's level education in publishing when I came in there, and experience doing this work. Not a lot because of the resume gaps from disability, but experience nonetheless. And they asked me to design a paid position for a communications intern from a particular program at I think it was Capilano College or Langara, one of the colleges, for a first year communications undergraduate. And we're talking, and the boss, the person who's in charge of me, who decided that I was only worth $16 an hour because I'm part of this disability program, was like, oh yeah, I think we got to make it at least $25 an hour because, we got to make it a living wage. To my face, while paying me $16 an hour for a skill set and job description that usually garners between $40 and $60 an hour. Oh, we got to make sure she gets a livable wage, that communications student in first year. Yeah. And that was the moment I realized that the program was a good idea in terms of its kind of design, but they basically let these organizations treat us like shit. And they didn't set any rules about treating us with equality, i.e., if I was not disabled and with that same skill set and ability, what would they have paid me? That is equality. And I would have even taken the $25 an hour happily to have a living wage as a disabled person, especially since the money wasn't theirs. It was a grant from the taxpayer. And they decided what I was worth because I'm disabled. And I got really, it just clicked a button in me and I went, what? Okay, and then I had to report the income. Now, the way it worked was because it was a grant, they didn't count it towards your annual exemption limit of $15,000. So that $3,600 was 12 weeks of a grant to get you into the workforce. And then the job of the company, by the way, their obligation wasn't just to pay me for my time. It was also to ensure that I was facilitated into another job afterwards. They not only didn't do that, they didn't even try. They did absolutely nothing to help me at all, in fact. and basically disregarded and dismissed the work and did nothing to collaborate with me in order to help me make it better for them or more accurate to them or whatever it was that they needed. They basically just treated it as something that they were doing as if they were doing me a favor, which, anyway, whatever. And they kept getting grants after that from the same program, even though they did nothing to help facilitate into other employment. But anyway, whatever. So they didn't honor their obligation, right? Because they're also, I'm pretty sure these orgs that are agreeing to hire us are not just getting the money for our time, but I'm sure they're getting some kind of other thing, some incentive. Because that's what the government likes to do. They like to incentivize corporations to do us some charitable kindness by hiring us, even though they don't think we have value or worth. I mean, it's just insanity to me. And maybe one day I will neuter the identifiers on the marketing plan that I designed for them and show you what the work that I did for $16 an hour, and let everyone else make judgments as to its value. But anyway, whatever. It's a long time ago it's done. But I was reporting the income as unearned income, and every month the workers were recording it as earned income, as if it was part of the exemption amount. When we got to the end of it, I didn't make a report, and I said, I have $0, I'm not working anymore. You have to report, the contract ended, I'm no longer working. So I get a call from this worker one morning, about 2 days before check day is supposed to come in. And she goes, oh, hi, yes, so I see you say you're not working there anymore. No, it was a contract, it's over, it's a program. Now, at this point in time, I didn't know this, but the program I did was the Ministry of Social Development and Poverty Reduction's pilot program. It was their program. The worker that called me worked for them. Okay? Keep that in mind. And she basically accuses me of fraud, says, oh, well, some people just lie about stopping work. I said, excuse me? She's like, yeah, so you have to report that as earned income. I said, well, no, I was told to report it as unearned income. She's like, no, you have to report it as earned income, and you have to prove that you're not working there, and blah, 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 blah. And she said, you have to change how it reported, or I'm going to stop your check. So just to be super clear, the way I reported was correct. She forced me to commit fraud on illegal documentation to change the report. Yes, that is fraud. Or she was going to stop my check. So I said, okay, fine, change it. And then I got on the phone and I called all the way up to the minister's office for the Ministry of Social Development and Poverty Reduction. And then I was told that it was their program. I was told that they administered it, that I did everything right, and that, oh, they must have just made a mistake. Hang on, I'm going to check it out. So then I get a call a little bit later from the manager of my branch, the place where the woman worked that had called me. Oh, and this woman, while she's accusing me of fraud and then forcing me to commit fraud while threatening and coercing me to commit fraud by saying I'm going to stop your check, that tiny check that doesn't fucking cut it anyway, for which I am grateful, taxpayer, thank you. But anyway, it doesn't, she's like, oh, I'm disabled too. I'm like, you're working for the provincial government. You're not disabled. You might have a health condition, but if you were disabled, you wouldn't be working. You're not disabled in the legal designate sense, okay? You're not dependent. You're not in this freaking legislative framework. How dare you? Right? Anyway, so the manager of the local branch calls me back and he's like, yeah, no, it is our program. We sent a memo out at Christmas, but most of the workers don't read their memos. And I went, I'm sorry, so your employee forces me to commit fraud. And your excuse is, I guess they just didn't read it. Don't worry, we've corrected. Anyway, they fixed it all, right? But talk about discrimination. And it's baked into the system. They finally have a pilot program that really could have been successful had they enforced the obligation on the corporations, and had they ensured that workers were actually aware of the program and knew how to account for it appropriately, right? And I'm beginning to wonder if this missed check today that's supposed to be coming in and helping me eat for the next 6 days until the provincial check comes in is another freaking error like that, like an absolute, total, callous, disregardful neglect of basic workflow principles and surety principles and safeguards to ensure that things work the way they're supposed to. I cannot fathom it. Anyway, I don't know what to do anymore. But this is not a small thing. And I want everybody to understand that I have a lot of privilege. I have the privilege of a kind of constitutional fortitude and fierceness and a rising up in the face of someone trying to shove me down. That's just innate to me. It's been there my whole life, and it just rises up like a lion whenever I feel that there's some kind of injustice, illogical, dark personality driven, whether systemic dark personalities or otherwise. Not everyone has that. Not everyone has the education I got to have. Not everyone has family that can help them like I have. Not everybody has an affable social demeanor and an ability to access joy anyway. I've done so much work to make sure that the principle of my life is that I will have access to joy independent of all others. Except maybe my pup here. My sweet little bee. Because that is a guiding principle for a life that can be forward moving, a life with agency, decision making, and the rest. But there are people out there that this $200 today is the difference between eviction, cut off of electricity, food, and they will have planned for it. I don't know what people think, like we're just out and about willfully, willy-nilly spending all the money on all sorts of stuff. That's every penny is accounted for. I budget everything down to the last thing. I skimp and save, and I eat less, and I find the best price, and I walk further than I need to, and I do everything I can. I go without. I don't buy clothes outside of thrift stores. I haven't had a new piece of clothing in probably 5 years, and that was a pair of $12 super soft pajama pants from Walmart. And it's okay. I adapt and I go and I'm resilient and I push and it's grit. But it's not okay for others. It's not okay at all. Now, again, we need barriers. We do need barriers to entry for disability supports. We need barriers to entry for any and all benefits and supports in this country. We are hemorrhaging money. There is no money and there's nothing coming in. Okay? I'm not an economist, but I know how to pinch pennies. And I know what happens when there's more going out than coming in. And I know what happens when you're spending money you don't have. Which I can't do, actually, because I'm not eligible for credit. But anyway, point is, I mean, I do have a credit card that they gave me, but it's basically been maxed out for 15 years. And it's only a $7,000 limit, which is my total debt in this world right now. So, you know, could be way worse, right? And look, the government, the Harvard government gave us the RDSP, which is a great program. Everyone will get free money. If you have your DTC and you get an RDSP, you will get 100% free grant money from the federal government going into that account to stay in that account until you're 55 and you get kicked off disability benefits for working age people. And you get pushed onto the senior benefits, and then you're allowed to access your RDSP. And you do get free grant money. Every single year, the federal government, regardless of your input, regardless of your contribution, will put free money in. If you are able, or a family member is able, or some instance allows for you to get let's say a chunk of money, every dollar that you put into your RDSP that you contribute will be matched times 3 by the federal government. This is a Harper plan, conservative plan, to be clear. So basically, if you're able to put $4,000 in over a year, you get $12,000 at the end. Okay, that's just the simplest math for me. 3 times 4, I don't know why. But anyway, and I will be providing proofs of this. I'm not going to put them in the video. I'll put it all in the description. The number of disabled people who have screamed and called me a lying asshole, gaslighting, insert nasty epithet here, because I tell them that the RDSP will give them free money, whether they can contribute or not, whether they pay taxes or not, it's worth getting it. I've been trying to tell them that for years, is shocking and concerning. Somebody is out there telling these people that it's not worth it, that there's no point, that it's not a thing. It is worth it. If you are disabled enough If you actually meet the criteria, and it's not as strict, they've shifted it, they've altered their perception of, they've changed the language so it's clearer to doctors what the language always meant, okay? I know that's hard to understand, but it's how it works, okay? So, anyway, I think I left a few threads unfilled in here, so I may append a little video just after this in a different setting, in a different environment with, filling in the threads that I missed. But, I'm quite certain that I forgot to pick up on one thing. What was it? Oh! Wellness. Lacking the innate internal individual resources to fight the way I have. AI integration is going to help save your health and wellness, and that's what I'm going to be focusing on. I'm going to be focusing on teaching people how to integrate AI into their artistic and creative content selling, I guess, or like brand-based author stuff and other things like that. I'm going to be designing videos, teaching people how to integrate that in the workflow in the kind of publishing arena. And I'm going to be making video series that will teach you how to integrate AI into your wellness and strategic plan. I'm going to have to paywall them. I will offer some free tips and stuff, and there will be some free shorts and things that might offer a tip or two here and there. Well, maybe not for the wellness stuff. I'm going to have a long, hard think about it. It's such a hard thing because I cannot afford to work for free. And I do not want to burden the taxpayer anymore. But also, all right, strategic wellness. If you can prove you're poor and disabled, I'll give you a free membership to those videos. That's what I'm going to do. If you cannot prove, barrier to entry. Welcome to my world of compassion edged with reason. Anyone that can prove they're on a federal or provincial disability payment, current, and yes, you can access a thing that just says, yes, I'm currently receiving it. You can black out the amount. I know that you're going to be poor if you are receiving that. So I'll do some research and build an AI integrated, I'll build an AI chat to find out how I should, how to do that. But that's what I want to do. I want to offer either a free membership to access those particular videos that will be paywalled to anyone that can prove they are A, disabled, B, on benefits for disability, okay? That's not going to include welfare. If you're able-bodied, unless you can prove that you are seriously disabled and they're just fucking you, which they do. They do that. Anyway, that's a bit of a ramble rant, but we're in trouble. Disabled people in this country are in trouble. They are mating us instead of helping us. It's coercive eugenics. It's been condemned. Every single expert in the world knows that you do not offer bipolar people a suicidal exit. We are 10 to 30 times more likely than the general population to die. We have a 10 to 15% mortality likelihood across the lifetime because this disease tries to kill us. And they're about to expand it. Now, major depressive disorder also has suicidality, but it's significantly lower than bipolar in terms of success rates, right? Look, a lot of people ideate, a lot of people attempt, but bipolar people succeed, okay? And we succeed in numbers that are catastrophic, all while our psychiatric system has been gutted. And all, well, we don't get any help. I need you to understand this. Do you know what the treatment is for bipolar disorder in addition to medication? In addition to the continuity of care of a psychiatrist, which I don't get? My GP, who is not qualified to manage my psychiatric care, is managing my psychiatric care with me. That's not how it should be. She's fantastic. That's not the point. She's fantastic, but I also am the one that has taught her and explained it to her and tried to create the room to understand how this disease actually works, what it actually means. They do not get taught about these things, okay? They do not get taught. And anyway, psychiatric care has been gutted. GPs are managing psychiatric prescriptive care, including titrations, which they really shouldn't be. And we do not get psychotherapy either, which is the other thing we should be getting. We should be getting, especially if we have trauma, and we know that bipolar disorder is a hybrid, okay? It's genetic and environmental. So you have a genetic predisposition and then you have environmental triggers. For me, I suspect the undiagnosed autism, triggering of myalgic encephalomyelitis in 98, all of the trauma of being an undiagnosed autist as a teenage girl that probably was enough all on its own. And then of course I started self-medicating with cannabis, which it turns out is the medication that treats the myalgic encephalomyelitis and probably staved off some of the worst of that condition's progression in those early days, because I was absolutely abusing cannabis in my late teens, early 20s, which absolutely will have contributed as well to the environmental trigger of the bipolar disorder. I'm not confused about that. Nobody else should be either. You should not be using heavy cannabis use with high THC and high THCA in particular, I think, based on some experimentation I've done now that we have more discrete cannabinoid access for products and things. But anyway, regardless of what it is, it's just a bad idea, okay? If you have any, like, my predisposition was not acute, okay? We're talking like 1, 2, 3 removed cousins, maybe on my dad's side. There's some stuff there, but the likelihood of triggering a bipolar disorder when you do not have an immediate family member that has triggered that disorder it's much less than if you do. So, like, for example, my brother, sister, and sister's kids are going to have a higher likelihood, I suspect, because of that. That's just what the science shows, right? But it doesn't matter, right? Heavy cannabis use could trigger it if it's an underlying condition. So yeah, that did contribute to it. I still use cannabis every day and it has no impact whatsoever on the management and stability of the bipolar disorder, right? But I'm 41 now. And until you're 25, your brain isn't entirely prepared. And I also use it very carefully, microdosed, and with strain-specific therapies geared towards reducing potentiality of paranoia, anxiety, or any other kind of negative psychiatric disruption. But all this to say, that's now a very long video. I'm tired, I'm angry, and the government's failing us, and they're killing us, and I'm just tired of it. And humans, if you're not disabled, taxpayers, if you're out there, I need you, like, if you could rise up with us at some point. I'm not going to demand allyship. I'm not going to tell you need to prioritize us over your families or your health or any other thing. But it would be really nice to see a rising up of compassion and defending of our social contract, and an aversion and an expressed extreme aversion to the direction this MAiD program is taking. Because I'm seeing people scream Nazi at everybody under the sun. But the Nazis rounded up disabled people too. And they were in the camps too. We were targets too. And now we have a state that has decided to kill us. They are shoving through, racing through, pushing through, despite being forced to delay, despite there being no change at all to the foundational, egregious, ethical fault line that is this expansion into Track 3. They're shoving it through and it's coming out next year. We've got conservative politicians getting up there and being like, oh, well, I was once, and I'm sorry, why are you doing all this passive, like, oh, well, if MAiD was available, I would have died. Okay, yes, that's true, and that's horrible. But what is this softball approach? This is coercive eugenics. You cannot, you know what the diagnostic criteria is for bipolar disorder? Suicidality is a core feature. Bipolar disorder has the most painful depression that exists on the planet. We also have something called mixed episodes, which combine the pain, anger, frustration, depths of despair that is depression with the energy, freneticism, and of mania, which is why we successfully die. And I want to be clear about something. In the general population, male people and female people die at disproportionately different rates, right? Not in the bipolar population, okay? Not in our population. Again, I'll put some figures and stuff in the description or some links. But I am just tired, and we need some help. We need some help, because we cannot fight alone. We are sick. We are unresourced. We are not. It's very hard to organize when you have nothing and are sick all the time, and on top of being sick all the time, 50% of your energy goes to just figuring out how to afford to make it to the next check, how to feed yourself, your animal, your kid, whatever obligations and dependency you do have, because we are still humans, and there are other people that matter in our lives, and having a dog is important for me. He's my psychiatric service dog, but anyway, we need help. And I'd really love some compassion to start coming our way, and some more care. Okay.